Is the 2025 Honda CR-V Hybrid Sport Touring All-Wheel Drive worth it? We're showcasing the Crystal Black on Gray, sharing the same platform as the Civic. This is going to be longer than the competition, but it gets the least in MPGs. It has the least performance. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to throw in some pros and cons to see if this is worth it comparing to the competition. And I'll throw in a problem later on into the drive part of the review. All of the CR-Vs are going to have LED headlights, daytime runnings, integrated LED turn signals, and 7.8 inches of clearance. When you tick the box to all-wheel drive, it goes to 8.2 inches, which is what we have here. With the glossy black and the enlarged grille, I like the boxy stance that the CR-V projects because maybe the Pilot's too big for me and the HR-V is too small. So this ticks the box in between, giving us 6 different trims, 3 for the 1.5 liter turbocharged and 3 for the hybrid variant. And if you go to the turbocharged, you can still get features that's in the hybrid trim. So I like how they have configured it here. Underneath the hood is going to house a 2 liter 4-cylinder producing 204 horsepower with 247 pound-feet of torque paired to an eCVT transmission. Now, if you go to the non-hybrid, you're going to get a CVT transmission, so it does something to take in consideration also, because a lot of people in the comments don't typically like a CVT. So unlike the CVT that uses belts and pulleys, the eCVT combines power from the ICE and the electric motor, no conventional gears. Instead, it's fixed gears, using the planetary gear system to simultaneously manage power and distribute between the engine, motor, and wheels. This maximizes the fuel efficiency by automatically adjusting the power source depending on the driving conditions, using electric power at low speeds and the gas engine at high speeds. So you're going to achieve with this all-wheel drive configuration 40 MPGs for the city, 34 MPGs for the highway, 19-inch wheels. That's only going to be on the Touring. 17 is on the base. 18-inch goes into the Sport. Gloss black. Unfortunately, they don't carry that onto the fenders and the lower skirt, but you get the integrated LED turn signal and chrome going to surround the window trims. I know this is not the Sport or the Sport L Hybrid, so I get the chrome, but I also wish that they offered a package so you could blacken everything out so you don't have to do like a chrome delete. It would make it look a little bit more dynamic. Now, going into competition to see if this is worth it, Toyota's going to get better MPGs than this. It's also paired with the eCVT transmission. Hyundai is going to have a 6-speed automatic transmission, and the MPGs is actually right on par with this. Towing capacity, this is going to be one of the least in class. You only get up to 1,000 pounds. 1,500 pounds is unlocked with the turbo variant, but the pro that goes into place here is you have options. The con, you cannot option features, you have to go up trim base. LED taillights is standard on all trims, but here's the twist. The turn signals that's integrated are halogen. They did LED everywhere. I can understand it's, just a little bit over 40 grand, but in the same aspect, you threw LED lights in the front for every trim and even in the back. Why would you just settle for that one light that's for the turn signal? The lower is going to have dual exhaust finishers, but only one exhaust is actually going to be exposed. The exhaust is going to be integrated inside with front and rear parking sensors and a standard reverse camera. Now, another twist to the CR-V is when you go in different trims, you're going to get different safety features. Standard safety features will include the Honda sensing, so you have the collision mitigation braking system, road departure mitigation system, lane departure, forward collision, adaptive cruise control with low speed follow, lane keep assist, and traffic sign recognition with traffic jam assist and auto high beam. The EX adds the blind spot monitoring, cross traffic monitoring, low speed braking control will go into the EXL, and the front and rear parking sensors will be on the EXL and the Sport L Hybrid, also on the Touring trim. So even though you don't necessarily get all the features, I do like that it's a little bit easier to pick some of them, and you don't have to go into the top tier in order to get all the safety and all the styling elements for the CR-V. But when you're looking at competition, you can still option features on Toyota and Hyundai. I mean, let me know your thoughts. Would you go for the new CR-V Hybrid? I personally would go to the Touring It's a little bit over 40 grand, but just because I can't option features, or would you go into the competition? Drop a comment below. Power liftgate will start on the EXL. Cargo for the Touring Hybrid drops to 34.7 cubic feet. Otherwise, you can max out at 39.3 cubic feet. You don't have any storage underneath here. You get a 12-volt LED interior lights with bag holders, and because I'm tall, I'm gonna just split fold the rear bench in the back, and that will split at a 60-40 split, increasing cargo to 76.5 cubic feet. You can remove this from here if you don't want to have a third occupant sitting there. The key fob to the CRV Hybrid Sport Touring all-wheel drive, 10-way power seat adjustment for the driver, 4-way power seat adjustment for the passenger, leather seats. This is going to start on the EXL. It will not be on the Sport Hybrid, but the Sport L Hybrid unlocks it. The EX gives us the heated seats, and it goes up to the hybrid trim. Memory for the driver. The dashboard is going to mimic this Civic, which will get the honeycomb pattern in between it with the glossy black, and I like the pattern here with a 9-inch infotainment screen. Standard is a 7-inch. The EXL will get this screen, but the Sport Hybrid will not. You have to go into the Sport L Hybrid. Let's fire it up. 4 speakers is standard, then 6, 8, and 12 speakers through Bose, only on the Touring trim with the auto-dimming rear view mirror. All trims get LED interior lighting. Moonroof starts on the non-hybrid EX. Wireless charging pad will be on the Sport L Hybrid and EXL. 2 USB ports with a 12-volt, dual climate control settings. You still have physical buttons. Navigation is only on the Touring trim. Wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. Sirius XM and HD radio on the EXL, as well as the Sport L Hybrid and the Touring trim. Wi-Fi hotspot is only on Hybrid Touring. And the best part about the CRV is it's not a driver-focused setup. The LX with the 4 speakers will have 160 watts. The EX will go up to 240 watts. The EXL with 320 watts, and that will carry into the Sport L Hybrid. Leather around the shifter, you get the orange stitch work, and it's going to be a little bit more sporty. The orange carries in back, and you have a pretty deep storage pocket. This can move forward or backwards. In the driving mode select, all-wheel drive. We got 4 different driving modes, including snow, Econ, Normal, and Sport. You have a little tray of storage here. There isn't any pass-through, but you still have a ton of leg space, and the same thing with headroom. Honda just carves it out for you. A leather-wrapped steering wheel. It's heated because we're in the Touring trim. Glossy black, and again with that orange stitch work. Paddle shifts, and the gauge cluster is a 7-inch TFT display that can go through an array of different content for the driver. That's standard on all trims. The glossy black carries on into the door, and that pattern comes into play here. One touch up and down for all the windows, only on the Sport L Hybrid and the Touring Hybrid. Soft to touch here with a medium-sized storage pocket and a beverage holder carved out with the CRV print. For the back seats, this is the opening that you have to fit 2 more with the cup holders and armrests. 2 USB-C ports, air vents, storage only behind the passenger seat. The door is going to have the same materials that's found in the front, so they don't strip anything except for this area here, and it's basically the same size storage pocket. Now you'll notice that the seat is sit upright. This is the position that it would be. So sitting behind me with leg space, not going to be an issue at all. And headroom, it's not bad, but I personally would recline these back. Not this far back, but if you do so, you have a ton of headroom. Sliding into the center, the floor is more or less flat, so you're not going to be compromised there with feet, butt, leg, and shoulder space. And that's the nice thing about the CRV. You don't have to go up into the Pilot. You can go this route. You have plenty of headroom. Let me close this door so that way you don't see that LED light just flashing. And if you move these seats back to kind of a position that would be more comfortable, I still can fit. The CRV Hybrid Sport Touring, 204 horsepower with 247 pound-feet of torque. Great MPGs for an all-wheel drive. I mean, 40 over 34. That's not bad for a everyday driving vehicle. And to show you some of the performance, quiet in the cabin, 8.2 inches of clearance, 7.8 inches otherwise. But that's gonna take me to some pros and cons, and starting off with the pros is how soft the interior is, especially when you start going into the sweet spots, kind of like the EX. The EXL, I think, unlocks the best of both worlds if you're going non-hybrid. If you go Sport L hybrid, that's the sweet spot for the hybrid trim. The Sport trim does strip out some of the amenities like we've talked about in the interior specs, but just a touch over 40 grand, you're not really breaking the bank account to get all the bells and whistles. So that's definitely a pro. On a con, this is the largest vehicle in its segment against Hyundai, Kia, Toyota, and it's the least in class for cargo. It's the least in class for MPGs. This is a hybrid trim. And the pricing to it is kind of in the middle. It's not actually the most expensive. That's going to be taken by Toyota. Quiet in the cabin, 19-inch wheels. I don't feel any imperfections in the road. I've been driving it for a little while, so not just whenever I'm turning the camera on or off. And the visibility is great. Large windows, but on the exterior, it still keeps a sporty SUV vibe. Same platform as the Civic. That's another reason why it's such a smooth driving vehicle, because once you go into the Pilot, it's going to be a little bit more rigid. You will feel more of the imperfections, and it doesn't matter if you get a smaller wheel. It's also a different platform, which is shared with the Odyssey and the Ridgeline. So it will drive similar, it will drive more truck-like, whereas this is going to drive more car-like. Braking, if you need to stop, you can stop. It doesn't feel heavy. This vehicle is also the heaviest amongst the hybrid competition. Turn radius is about 2 lanes. Let's rock and roll. Now, the reason why I do the performance driving in all the vehicles is not because it's a performance variant. This is not that type of engine, but it is to show you if you are trying to mash on the gas, you're getting up onto the interstate, it can lack a little bit compared to some of the competition, in class or not in class. But ultimately, when you're doing this performance, you're still getting great MPGs. That's what hybrids unlock. So that is definitely a pro. And that leads me to the problem that I have with the CR-V, which is several. Starting off with, we do not have a PHEV at all. For 26, we're getting a Trail Sport, which is going to be probably just a style that's enhanced, nothing really off-road, but it'll have that rugged profile. So I think that's cool, but then in the same aspect, we don't receive anything like that here. You can get an HPD package, which would just have some aesthetics to the vehicle, but it's not going to do anything for performance. We don't really have a performance. We just have something that's eco-friendly or something that's an everyday drive. There's no variant in between, so that's why having maybe a PHEV, I feel would kind of offset that, because it would give us more horsepower and torque, giving us a sportier vehicle, especially considering that you're getting a smooth drive and it's just a touch over 40 grand fully loaded. When you're looking at competition, that's going to escalate for Toyota, making this one of the better in class for pricing and overall usage. But let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, memberships, live streams, TikTok and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank our friends here at Ocean Honda for giving us Honda CR-V Hybrid Sport Touring for our car review.